What's cracking, guys? Bruce Matson here, your host of the show, Metric Scout Fantasy Football, and today we're going over another mock draft. Lance Zierlein dropped his mock draft 2.0 the other day. We're going to go over that, and we're going to go over the landing spots for rookies for Dynasty Fantasy Football, the quarterbacks, the running backs, and wide receivers. Give a little projections of values, and just have fun with it. All in all, the real draft's going to happen. We'll know then. But looking at these mock drafts kind of give us an idea of what these wide receivers and running backs, even quarterbacks, could look like with their new teams, potentially, if those would become their new teams. But with that being said, let's take a look at Lance Zierlein's mock draft. Here we are, onto the mock draft page. And again, we're scrolling down here. Like always, this draft is filled with O-line and defense, and we're just looking at our skilled players because that's what we need for our Dynasty Fantasy Football teams. It's going to be a second before we get our first player. Let's see here. Nobody yet. Boom. Yes. Something new, something a little spicy. Malik Willis to the Seattle Seahawks. Him and DK Metcalf, maybe Lockett, maybe not. I know if they spend the 9th pick on the draft on Willis, they're going to be adding more players, more receivers, and more help for Willis so he can develop. Is this a great landing spot? Maybe. They're going to want him to hand the ball off early in his career. We know that because they wouldn't let Russ cook. They're not going to let Willis cook. So he's going to be handing it off, allowing him to develop some. Hopefully that helps slow him down a little bit so he can just take those baby steps for progress. It's got Locke there too, so if he can just learn behind him or compete with him to make him better, whatever it is. Do I love it? I love that he's top 10. Top 10 quarterbacks in the draft for Dynasty is always good. That helps his value. I like that. He has DK Metcalf there, a guy that he can just throw it deep to. I think it's the perfect landing spot? No, I think Pittsburgh or something like that where they have multiple skilled players who could help them out on tap already is a great spot. But you really can't hate Seattle. They've been able to be competitive for a long time, off and on. So I don't hate it. I think this is what they got to do. They got rid of Russ. They got to bring in another quarterback and draft him at 9. I think this is an okay spot. I don't love this quarterback class to begin with. I don't think it's the greatest. I feel like one of them might pop off a bit for us for fantasy. Which one? We don't really know because each one of these quarterbacks, they got something in their game that indicates that they could do something. They also got something in their game, whether it be developmental issues or something with mechanical issues or whatever, that gives the red flag. It's not a perfect quarterback class, so none of these landing spots are going to be perfect. But Willis to Seattle, I can't hate on it. And Dynasty, Fantasy Football value, rookie draft value, he's going to hold his value in Superflex. I guarantee it. It's going to be one of the top quarterbacks selected. And depending on how your league values the quarterback spot, he's either going to be like a top 3 or mid first round option in Superflex. It really depends on your league because I've seen it everywhere in mock drafts where these quarterbacks are running. Going back down, see who's next. Garrett Wilson to the Washington Commanders. So I feel like Lance Zierlein's seeing a little bit of a Ohio State connection with him and Terry McLaurin. Commanders going back to that well. They're trying to get Carson Wentz another option there to throw the ball to, trying to make this offense stronger. This could be a good landing spot for him in fantasy. This could be a bad one. We don't know what this quarterback situation is going to be looking like. We do not know what the passing volume is really going to be looking like for the long term. Is Terry McLaurin going to be the target hog? We don't know. Is this good for his dynasty value? Yes and no. This could cause him to slip a little bit in rookie drafts. This could allow him to stabilize just because he's the 11th pick. If he falls, I'm buying it all day. I'm buying no matter what. If he's up there still as one of the top wide receivers, I'm buying. If people fade him because he's on Washington, I'm buying. I'm buying the talent. That's what I'm doing, especially here at the top end of the draft. I'm drafting the talented players. I'm not letting situation influx or interfere with my player evaluation. I'm drafting the good players and then letting the cards fall. Let's move down here. Drake London to the Eagles. Just about every mock draft, we have the Eagles drafting a wide receiver. They drafted Devonta Smith last year, Jalen Reagor the year before. The Philadelphia Eagles are like the Detroit Lions back in the day, just drafting wide receivers till they get one. That's pretty much what it is. Drake London, it would be their new toy, gives them a little something different, a bigger wide receiver, gets downfield, and just wreak havoc at the catch point. Very productive last year until the ankle injury. Still owned over a 30% market share, even missing those slew of games. I like him. I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the class. I think he has better footwork, better change of direction skills than advertised. Pretty good for size, if you put it that way. Size adjusted, change of direction skills. Drake London's elite in that part. But ball skills, all that. Will he be wide receiver 1 sharing the field with Devonta Smith? You also got Dallas Goedert. You also think of the running backs that get them in the passing game at times too. So maybe, maybe not. He's a downfield threat. Could get some touchdowns. Could this team fuel multiple wide receivers? Maybe. I mean, the passing game's changed from time to time with teams, so that could change. Jalen Hurts could start slinging it more. They could let him just do his thing, let him cook. We don't know. But first off, he's talented. Very talented wide receiver, very productive, can get downfield, has good ball skills, something you want to look at, and has good draft capital. From a rookie draft standpoint, he's going to be one of the first wide receivers selected. Moving on down to Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett going to the Steelers is an interesting spot. I feel like this is a good one for him. First off, he's been playing in the Pittsburgh area his entire collegiate career. Well adverse to that area. So the transition process is going to be a little bit easier. Imagine a young guy moving across country to a new town, learning that town, and then on top of having to learn their new NFL team, learn their teammates and all that stuff, build relationships. So just the off-ball things. There's some of those off-ball things he's not going to have to deal with in the situation. The same reason why I was kind of on to Justin Herbert when he went to the Chargers. That West Coast areas where he's from, so there's some transition points that he doesn't have to transition to. Same here with Kenny Pickett. That could allow him to just focus more on what he needs to do. He's got players around him. If you like Deontay Johnson, you should expect Deontay Johnson to help him out. If you like Chase Claypool, you should expect Chase Claypool to help him out. If you like Najee Harris, you should expect Najee Harris to help him out. If you like these players and you're really bullish on them, you should expect them to be pawns to Kenny Pickett's development. He does show some good things on tape. Can he put it together? Can he continue to develop? His collegiate career wasn't the greatest until that last season, but there are some things in his game that can translate to the next level, and with these players to help him out, to give him some firepower, we might get some fantasy results. High-end Superflex quarterback right here. This is going to jump his value. Moving down. We know Treylon Burks is next. Oh, Chris Olave to the Cardinals. Definitely going to need another wide receiver. Christian Kirk is gone. Rondale Moore is probably going to move to the Christian Kirk role. DeAndre Hopkins. We need to have a discussion about that. He's a very good wide receiver. Probably going to be good for the remainder of his career, however long that's going to be. But the end is getting closer by the day. Father Time is undefeated for most people except for Tom Brady. But Father Time has got one loss, and that's just a Tom Brady. However, Chris Olave going to the Cardinals, that's going to help Kyler Murray out. It's going to help Chris Olave out because there's not too much competition for targets. DeAndre Hopkins healthy is a main driver to that. Zach Ertz signed to a deal is a driver to that. Rondale Moore taking a step in his development is a driver to that. Fantasy relevant-wise, I think he's going to hover around the same value, probably a late first-round pick in rookie drafts. There's a chance that he explodes. You know what? I do not like him being as the first option in a team. I think him being like the first option on his team is probably better for him. That way the coverage isn't always on him. The quarterback has a second look. He doesn't need a shit ton of targets. He doesn't need 30% target share. He has after catch ability. He has a big playmaking ability. He can catch the ball well, sticky hands. He doesn't need to be a 30% target share guy. A 30% target share guy is what we want, but again, not all these wide receivers are going to get that we shouldn't project that. And if a player can be successful in fantasy with a less optimal volume, then that's something we want to look at as well. And I think Chris Olave can do that. Let's move on down. Dallas Cowboys, Treylon Burks making this pick. And this is a reaction off of the Mario Cooper situation here. First things first, Jerry Jones isn't running the franchise like he used to in the 90s. Just because Jerry Jones has that Arkansas connection, alumni, all that stuff, doesn't mean he's going to be hampering off the bit to get Treylon Burks because he's from Arkansas. This team also has a lot of needs to fill. Offensive line's not getting younger. This offensive line's getting older. It's been banged up. They might want to fill in the spots. Defense, it looked better last year. It looked a lot better last year. But they still need to add pieces to that as well. So there's a lot going on here. This is also a team that has been very smart in the draft with their selections. This team probably has looked at this wide receiver board thoroughly, realized it's kind of deep. I imagine they may be looking to trade back if wide receivers are made focus. Again, they have cap issues. They have big-time cap issues. I see this team trading back, making moves to get back to acquire more picks, to get more players on the cheap, to get cheaper contracts. That just makes sense to me. Treylon Burks makes a lot of sense for this draft. That's what we're looking at here. I think Treylon Burks, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup is a good trio. Another thing is this team may be looking like going into 2021, they may be thinking Lamb, Gallup, what we got here with Schultz, it's good enough, and then we'll think about it later. Let's patch up the other areas or whatever comes to us, and we're going to take it. But we're not going to reach at wide receiver 2. But I like Treylon Burks to Dallas. I think if he goes to Dallas, people are going to be all in on him. I think he's going to hold that draft capital. I think he's going to be a top-tier option. And I'm not fading him in drafts. I'm actually going to be paying up for him. Moving on down. Zion Johnson. That might be it for us. Last pick here. Jameson Williams to the Detroit Lions. Lions adding skill players here as they should be. Because eventually they're going to get their quarterback. That quarterback's going to need skill players around them. Jared Goff hasn't been horrible, but he has been horrible. He's just one of those dudes. He's just not the guy. But Jameson Williams is going to give you another dynamic. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown there. Short to intermediate guy. You got Jameson Williams here. He can be your field stretcher after the catch guy. Those guys fit together like a good puzzle. This makes sense if you're trying to get them a wide receiver. There's other things they probably need. Wide receiver is kind of a luxury here. But if you think the grand scheme of things here, Amon-Ra St. Brown skill set, Jameson Williams skill set, that kind of goes together pretty good. Throw in DeAndre Swift's speed, especially his after catch ability. TJ Hawkinson's ability to catch the ball and run routes. This offense would be cooking. Jared Goff, maybe he develops well with it. Maybe this allows them to transition their new quarterback, whoever that be, whoever they get in the future, allow them to transition that guy a lot quicker, give them more pieces to work with. So I don't hate this. More I'm focused on the dynasty perspective. I think from a fantasy football perspective, he's going to fall a little bit in drafts. That Detroit stigma, the Amon-Ra St. Brown stigma, the target share stigma, and I'm going to buy at the dip because he's a good player. Yards after catch ability, his speed, it gives you some dynamic plays. Also, the yards after the catch, the air yards is something I want in fantasy. He may be just a best ball guy. He might be just a guy that you use as a flyer. You mix in off and on throughout the year. But if that's what you get late first round, early second round, you take that. But I think the upside's there too. He could be the Justin Jefferson of this class. There's no Justin Jefferson of this class. There's only Justin Jefferson. There's only Jamar Chase. You're not going to get that every year. But if you want a guy who is not flying under the radar, but kind of flying under the radar, that everyone thinks is good, but are not putting their flag onto, that's probably Jameson Williams. He's got that 4.3 speed. He came into Alabama, saw John Mechie there, and was like, get out of here, son. This is my offense now. This is my shit now. I'm Jameson Williams. That's what happened when he went to Alabama. Took over, blew up, had a good year. The ACL's there, But ACLs are like hiccups nowadays. You just come back from them and you just continue the ball out. Adrian Peterson showed us that, and the ball just kept rolling from there. Jameson Williams, though, could be a good get for the Lions. Could be a good get for us in fantasy no matter where he goes. That's all I got for you today. Going over this draft, let me know what you think about these landing spots. Are you vibing with any of them? Are you vibing with Treylon Burks, Jameson Williams, the quarterbacks, whatever? Just let me know in the comments. Smash that like button. Help me out on that algorithm. But most importantly, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Every subscription matters. It fuels me to keep pumping out this content. It fuels me to keep over the tape, the metrics, and everything else. Again, I want to thank you, and I'll catch you next time.